Okay. That's not how they do it.
Go. Now they go. And 5, 4.
And get gum. Your nose itches, but I'm not picking my nose. I wasn't. Really am really hot.
Do you really need a different shirt? We're in the
It's
middle
I'm
of.
so hot. I feel like I'm having a heat flash, like, or hot flash, like what people have, you know, when they're old. It's starting for me already.
How can it be so hot in here? It's like freezing cold.
It's not. It's like 100 degrees. Hey guys, it's Summer and Jimmy, and we are going to do the Happily Married YouTube tag. We actually did this one before, but it was on my old camera. It doesn't look as good, so we thought we'd just refilm it. Are you ready?
Hashtag yes.
Did you date much before you met your spouse?
Now, does the question mean did we date each other much or date others much?
How do you want to answer it?
I'll do both.
Okay.
By, I guess, normal standards, I did not date many other people before Summer.
I dated many other people before Jimmy.
So I had...
We were opposite.
Well, but here's the thing that kind of balances it out. So before Summer, I was dating one person for a very long time. I mean, that's not the only person I ever dated. I only dated a couple people, though. But I was dating one person for like 4 years. Now, Summer may have dated several people for short periods of time, but it all kind of balances out. I think, you know, it doesn't really matter that much now, but if I was going to say to my kids,
yeah,
which is worse, I would say, well,
neither one.
Don't do either one. Just
just
don't even waste your time.
Yeah. My philosophy at the time, I thought it was so wise and so smart, is that if I didn't think that someone was someone I wanted to marry, then we'd stop dating.
Too quick to date, you're saying?
I was too quick to date. I was like, oh yeah, I'm attracted to you, or you're good looking, or you're funny, or whatever.
That was before you met me.
Yeah, and then you were all those things.
And you're like,
I was like, that's it, I'm snatching
wow,
him
now
up.
I know what good looking
But I
is.
just felt like I gave my heart to too many people when you should just give your heart to one.
And I would say that...
and you stayed in a relationship far too long.
I stayed in for too long because I really shouldn't have stayed in there that long,
you knew.
knowing that that wasn't the person I was going to marry. So that's the kind of conversations we'll have with our kids. And then did we date each other a lot before we got married?
No.
Is the other way to maybe take the question? And I would say no, because we were married a year after we started dating. Whoa.
Almost. I don't even think it was exactly a year.
It's so hard for me to...
We met in September, the beginning of September. I think we started dating maybe 2 months later.
I proposed 4 months after we started dating.
And then, so we were friends for 2 months, dated for 2 months, and got engaged.
I just knew, so I was all in.
We were all in. Did online dating exist, and would you have used it?
I don't know if it existed. Did it?
Probably. It was,
I
what,
think we
12
had-
years ago?
We had,
wouldn't say
I mean,
it
I
did.
remember there being MySpace, but that's not really used for online dating.
Hey,
yet.
that's how Sam and Jay met.
Is it?
Yeah, MySpace.
But would we have used it? I suppose the way it is now, from what I understand, is pretty cool.
If we were ever single again, like if one of us died, because that's the only way we'd be single again.
Yeah, you'll have to kill me.
Then
To get out of
I
this.
might consider online dating. Because I definitely do not want to go to a bar or a club to meet someone. Where do you think is a great place to meet a guy or a girl?
Oh, I know the answer.
Me too.
Ready? 1,
Yeah.
2, 3.
Church. That's how we met.
Aww.
But there are some not so great guys at church too. Don't think that just because this guy goes to church or girl goes to church,
And if you're not,
they're the one for
and
you.
if you don't yourself go to church and you're not a believer at all,
Yeah.
don't just
Don't go
show
to
up at a
church.
church to try to find people.
We do know a church like that though here. But wait. What qualities would you tell single ladies or single men to look for? Sense of humor, good looking.
That's what you're going to tell our daughter? Make sure he's
Well,
good looking.
I think that may sound really superficial, but I do appreciate that you are good looking. Oh, you have
Don't make
something in your tooth. All this time.
Can you get it out with your
No,
tongue?
go get it. I'll wait for you. All better. I do think that it's important to be attracted to the person. Sometimes not necessarily their physical looks that is attractive. It could be their personality or their sense of humor or all those things together. I think you get better looking with age.
I think that about you too.
You're hotter now than you were the day I married you. Sense of humor. We'll take the good looking thing off the table. It sounds a little superficial. But if you're a Christian, you need to make sure the person you marry is a Christian and has the same goals and values and faith and kind of theology a little bit as you do. That's really important.
What I'll tell my son is the same thing. You know, you want somebody with similar beliefs as you, otherwise it's just gonna
Cause
your
problems.
lives are just gonna be pulled in different directions, I think. Somebody I would say to my son is, you look for a girl and you'll know when you find the one that is a little deeper than average, like my dear wife here.
Aww.
Somebody who's not, you can tell a lot of times when you meet somebody and they're very surfacey, they're very about themselves and, you know, it's all about them and kind of immature, kind of superficial. But you can tell when you meet somebody that is, there's depth to them, and it's not all about themselves and superficial how they look and stuff. A lot of times a very intelligent person has those qualities too, like my wife.
And I'll tell Chloe that you want your man to put you first. Find a man that puts you before all else in his life, because that's going to be important throughout your many, many, many years of marriage. And you want someone who's patient and gentle and long-suffering and has a sense of commitment, right? I think if you're not married yet, you need to make a list, write out qualities that are important to you so that when you meet someone, you don't start making exceptions, like saying, well, he doesn't have that, but he's this. You know, you want to find somebody who God has put on your heart to marry.
A little thing will become a big thing after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. It will. So don't feel like, oh, that really bugs me, but maybe I can change them. Don't count on being able to change them. And we're all selfish, but look for somebody who seems to be willing to put others before themselves.
So what dating advice would you give to your daughter or son? I think we kind of
isn't that what we just
already
said?
covered that. How did you meet and how old were you?
You want to tell the story?
We met at my friend's wedding. I went with my boyfriend at the time, and he had just broken up with his girlfriend who was in the wedding. She was actually like a bridesmaid. So I sat in between my boyfriend and Jimmy. I wasn't a big fan of Jimmy's because I kind of knew the girl he had dated and she had not talked favorably of him. And so I tried to set her up with somebody else to move on quicker, because from what she had shared, I had just met her at the bachelorette party, so it's not like we had a long history of friendship or anything. But so yeah, when I met him, I was like, oh, you're the Jimmy. And he wasn't a fan of mine because he thought I was like
a meddler.
I
had never met her, but I didn't like her. I was like, who is she getting involved here and setting my ex up on dates? Like, I was thinking in my head, it's too soon for her to be dating because we just broke up. Like, who is this summer girl?
Yeah, we weren't each other's biggest fans.
We were immature though, because we were only
I was 23. I'm 1 year older. I was 24 when I got married.
Yeah.
Shortly after the wedding, my dad passed away, so I ended up flying home for his funeral and to take care of all the things that went with that. And in that whole thing, my boyfriend and I broke up. When I came back from Washington, I ran into him at a church thing. His ex-girlfriend had moved to Italy at that point. This was like, what, a month later? And then we just became friends. It's like, oh, he's not so bad. Well, I thought he was the kind of guy I wanted to marry, but I didn't think I would marry him. So I took all your qualities and I was like, oh, look, you even set me up on a date with like somebody else.
Whoa, I forgot
with
about
that
that. That was
friendship
crazy.
in those
I
2
set
months.
her up on a date with another guy.
And I ended up going in the bathroom and calling him and being like, I don't want to be on this date. I'd rather hang out with you.
I remember when I set her up on the date, at the time I was thinking, yeah, I just want to be cool. You know, she'll think that's cool of me. But as soon as I did, I was like, why did I do that? That was stupid.
And shortly after that, we decided we wanted to date. But when we decided to date, we knew we were dating because we saw potential marriage in the future, which is why 2 months later we got engaged. Did you play hard to get? Well, I guess we kind of already answered that.
Mm-hmm. I did. I didn't even, for a month, I didn't even hold her hand.
The first month of us dating or being friends? Because there's 2 months of friendship and the 2 months of dating. Which one are you talking about?
2 months of friendship.
Oh, look, it got really bright in here. Oh, well.
That's cool. The 2 months of friendship, I didn't even hold her hand or
We
kiss
were
her or
just
anything.
friends. Would have been really inappropriate. But you know what he did do? He gave me really long back massages with my clothes on.
That's when we were dating.
And now he does it for like 2 minutes and his hands are tired.
My hands
That's
get
just
tired.
not
Yeah.
fair. Did you know he or she was the right one or the one right away?
I did. I felt like I did.
didn't. I knew he was the kind of guy I wanted to marry, but given just our circumstances and stuff like that, I thought I wouldn't or couldn't marry him. But then God made it very clear that he was mine. What qualities did your spouse love about you when you were first dating?
Oh, you know what I loved about Summer is she was hard to figure out. I just would
Not
look
much
at
has
her.
changed.
I would just look at her and like the things that she'd do, and I just like study her. I'd be fascinated. I'd be like,
Do you still feel that way?
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember just thinking like, oh, she is so funny. I didn't expect that. Like everything that she would do, I didn't expect that. She's so different than me.
I loved a lot about you. I loved your chattiness. You were extra chatty when we were dating. But you were just always sweet and kind and thoughtful. And I loved your faith. Like I loved your relationship with the Lord. I loved that. I loved a lot. Just so sweet. But not right now. I have good lipstick on. Did you have a timeline for marriage in your mind before you got married?
Before we met each other, no. But once I proposed, yes, we had a very firm timeline because...
Yeah, I wanted to get married on the day that my dad had passed away to take it from a sad day to a special day. And so we either needed to get married that August or a year and a half later, the next August. And because we waited till we got married to be like, do what married people do.
To join together physically.
As one. No, don't even say that.
To have our marital union. To know each other in a biblical sense.
We knew we couldn't wait until the following August.
I couldn't wait.
Did you have to nudge your spouse towards marriage or did it happen on its own? It happened on its own.
You did not have to nudge me.
I did not have to nudge him. How did your parents influence the kind of marriage you wanted?
Ooh, they didn't really.
Well, I think that they did, though. I think they kind of showed us what we didn't want.
They taught us by counterexample.
Yeah, so like for us, we didn't have the greatest examples. His parents divorced when he was, 8?
Mm-hmm.
And my parents divorced when I was in 5th grade.
My mom remarried into a really bad relationship.
Really bad, abusive relationship. And so we just watched these marriages and knew we didn't want to have a marriage like that ourselves. And so I think it taught us what not to do.
Yeah, I had super strong images in my head of what I didn't want it to be like.
What did you love most about your wedding? I know what you didn't love most about our wedding. I had all my family and friends there and we had good music life. I picked every song that played and so I wanted to stay and dance all night. And he wanted to get home to be married. And so he wanted to leave like right after we cut the cake.
We were like the last people to leave. I couldn't believe it. And I had waited and waited for her.
He had waited all his life.
You know, to experience our union.
It was his very first time.
We come home after loading all the gifts into the car. Mm-hmm. What she wanted to do as soon as we got home
was
presents.
There were
bring
so
all the
many
gifts
good
into the
presents.
house and then open them all before any sort of union happened.
I was scared. I to be honest though, now I was scared. I wanted to stall that. I just didn't know what it would be like. It was great. Okay. My favorite part of the wedding, though, I think, was the ceremony and the cake. We had the best cake. Wasn't it so good? So good. What elements of your wedding didn't matter as much as you thought they would? I wish we had spent more on a photographer.
Yes. The things that didn't matter as much, I suppose. I think we had to pay for our wedding ourselves, so we really only spent money on what mattered. So there's nothing. We did it for like under $5,000.
I think.
Everything.
Really? That was under 10,000.
It was under 5,000 for everything. I'm talking
including
about
my
food.
Dress.
We even had alcohol.
But not our rings. We just had wine.
And some beer.
But a friend of mine paid for the wine.
No, a friend of yours paid for
the cake.
For the beer.
Yeah.
And we had $2 Chuck, bottles of $2 Chuck.
That my parents paid for. Is the first year of marriage really the hardest? It was for us. We had never lived with a guy or a girl before, which I think is good and the only way you should do it. But also we were very selfish and very immature. And Jimmy had some things he needed to let go of that he couldn't let go of. So it just made our first year really hard. I
had 7 surfboards that I had to, get rid of some of them.
He pressed the snooze button 100 times in the morning before he'd get out of bed, and I wake up on the first alarm. So
it was a difficult adjustment, but for me, it never really seemed hard for me, but it was hard for you, which in turn made it hard for me.
It was hard for you. Are you kidding me? You were so, and this can come up in our testimony videos.
This is awkward because we're arguing on camera.
But Jimmy, you had major issues about like my past that tormented you that first year of our marriage. Tormented you, which tormented me. It made our marriage hard. He likes to do that.
Tormented me.
He likes to be like, everything's great for me. It was just hard for her. But you're not remembering it correctly. You were tortured.
I have selective memory loss.
What advice would you give newlywed couples? The advice that we were talking about, the past.
I don't know. Oh, that is good advice.
Letting that just go. Like, I don't think if you made mistakes before you got married, whether it's not saving yourself till marriage or dating a lot or I don't know, whatever the mistakes may be. If you made a change before you got married, like when I met Jimmy, we waited till we got married. I was a new person. I'd asked for forgiveness. I was a different person. And he just had like a hard time letting it go. He wanted to know everything and every detail. And he wanted to know it all. And I didn't think that was important to share all those details because it just wouldn't help us any, and it didn't help us any. It created a lot of insecurities and problems, and that's just why you should wait till you're married, because it will hurt your spouse one day, and that broke my heart that it hurt him so badly. But I was different. I had changed. I was not that way anymore, and the reason I was that way was because of something that had happened to me, which I'll talk about in a testimony video. But anyway, all that to say,
leave the past in the past.
Leave the past in the past.
And if a person is forgiven, they are forgiven. It's not your business to unforgive the person and bring it up again.
Crucify over and over again.
For the believer, think about you. When you're saved, Christ, you're forgiven for everything that you've done, and you don't need to keep asking for forgiveness for these things that you did before you were saved over and over again. It's already forgiven and forgotten. So treat your spouse the same way.
Yeah, that's good advice. Wait till your marriage. Don't live together. Don't sleep together.
You can avoid a lot.
You will avoid a lot of problems.
Avoid a lot of the problems by doing that. Yeah.
And don't snooze more than one time.
That's not in the Bible anywhere, by the way. That last part.
Last question, and this is a really long video, we're sorry. If you're religious, how has your faith influenced your marriage? So obviously we are Christians, and
I would say it's the cornerstone of the marriage.
It is what keeps our marriage together. In all the times that have been a struggle and have been hard in the last 12 years of marriage, it has been our faith that has carried us through.
Without that, it would be
we would have given up.
There are a lot of marriages not easy all the time, and so I personally don't know how, you know, people make it sometimes
Without.
with some of the things that
Yeah.
come up. So yeah, for us it's absolutely Christ is the foundation of our marriage.
Amen. Sorry that took so long. We just really like to talk about marriage, I suppose. That is it for this video. I hope that that was helpful for you somehow. And if you guys are married, answer some of these questions or answer all of them in a comment below or do a video. We tag all of you. So thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you're not and give this video a thumbs up. And come and find me on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and my blog, summersaldana.com. Hope you guys are having a great day, and we will see you guys soon.
And can we kiss on camera real quick?
Why do you do this to me? I don't know how to kiss on camera.
Are you afraid we'll get a thumbs down if we kiss on camera?
I get a thumbs down on every video.
I know.
You say goodbye.
Oh,
Bye,
I thought you said it
guys.
on behalf of both of us.
Okay,
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Our little blogging retreat is done, and Mandy and I have a few hours before we have to be at the airport, so I have requested a trip to Amish country. What is that sound?
Is there another tornado?
Is that that can't be.